So the goal of this video is to showcase a bit of the details of common boundaries in East Tennessee and what the process is and some of the effort that actually goes into some of these projects.
So with this one, we're connecting to the base unit that's on the house. And it works through the cell phone network. So the cell phone is the mode for transferring the data back and forth between the base unit and the rotor. And right now I'm just seeing how many satellites we have to see if there's enough to do what we need to do to get accurate positions right here. Right now I've got a point calculated for the corner I'm looking for. Number 4 is the ID number and then coordinates. And so my GPS is going to kind of help me get close to the calculated position. So I need to go south about 27, west about 13 feet. So west is about that direction, south is that way. So we're about 20 feet or so from the corner, so it's probably in that mess of trees over in there. And so that's where we're going to start looking over there. So right here, whenever you're looking for property corners, you have to think about the history of how they got there. So the deed here calls for just a stake. That could be kind of anything. A lot of times deeds are written by attorneys and not by the surveyor. So the attorney's just looking at the survey map and he doesn't know what to call it, and he just calls it a stake. And so this deed over here was written, I think like 40 years ago, 50 years ago. So this is kind of a newer type of stake. You can tell that it's got some rust on it, but there's pretty new paint down here. So this T-post is probably 20 years old, I'd say. So down at the bottom of it, there could be a rebar corner or like a pipe corner or something else. So this itself probably isn't actually the corner. It's just what we call a witness to the corner, so that you can more quickly find the real corner, which is down in the ground. So I'm going to scrape around and try to find the real corner. Hopefully there's something here. So here's the real corner down here. 1/2-inch rebar, nice and rusty. That's been here for a long time. Nice and solid, so that's probably 1.5 feet deep down in the ground. And of course the logs over top of it. So I probably won't be able to shoot it directly. I'll have to do offsets to that. So this is, if you look on the map, when the map is done, this is what's being referenced on a lot of them. Not this. This is just here to help you find it. I'm trying to do 2 offsets to this corner. And picture your old math class where you remember back the old pencil pointer and compass where you'd swing the arc on the paper. That's what we're going to be doing on this corner that's under the log, is we're going to locate 2 points, 2 known positions, and picture putting that pencil compass and spinning the two bisecting circles. And that's really what we're going to do here, is we're going to measure 2 distances to the corner monument and then intersect 2 distances, and then that'll be the position on the corner. So up here we're going to walk and try to find the next corner. The next corner is called to be a set stone. And so as I'm walking along here, I'm gonna just keep my eyes open for maybe some trees that are marked from the past, or some old wire fencing, or some other random type of things that look out of place, not natural. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for, keeping my eyes open as we're walking along. And then up here should be the set stone, and that one should be on a high point of the ridge. Somebody took the narrow end, put it down, and the flat end up. Sometimes somebody might put a metal pin next to this somewhere, just so that there's something metal, so that your metal locator can actually find this. That's one of the other reasons for this metal post here, because, well, stones don't exactly have metal in them most of the time, so they're hard to find in the woods if there's nothing there to find it with a metal locator. There is something metal next to this. You can hear this difference. There's the metal post. So this is what somebody put here years ago. Nobody's probably scraped around this to find it. All they've done is come up and they've located the rock. Somebody put the end of a axle right here next to it. Again, to help find the position of this with a metal locator. Or the spindle was the axle was the original, and then they put a stone next to it. But I suspect that the stone was first and the spindle came second. So you can see how confusing this can get sometimes. You've got three objects here. You've got a stone, the axle, and now you've got a metal post. So the deed says stone. So the stone is going to be the corner, because that's what the deed calls for. But we'll locate the axle as well. Deed of this property over here was done about 40-50 years ago, and so it took me a little while, but I finally found the location of the rebar. I had to dig into the pavement and find it. So sometimes you find corners and they're paved over, they're down deep because they were set years ago and tons of material or activity has happened where they're buried. So right now I'm resetting a corner on what the deed called a red oak stump. The stump has been removed from dirt work that's been done in the past. The original deed from 1930 or older said a red oak tree was the common main corner for three different properties, four different owners actually. And then at some point it got cut down and was just a stump. And now that the stump's gone, I have to replace where that corner was at. Right now I'm trying to see if these sounds in the pavement are corners or junk. And this is an old boundary line on this side. And so we're going to look in the middle of the road right here, and we're going to look over on the edge for any kind of corners and monuments to help us reset that missing corner where we're looking for the stone up on the ridge.
Well, we've been searching for this set stone up here on the ridge top, and we just haven't been able to find this yet. Might have to head back to the office and do some more searching backwards in some of the older deeds just to confirm that we're looking for the right kind of monument and that it's not actually something else besides a set stone. Went back to the office and we did find some more information on some older deeds. And this corner is actually supposed to be a pine stump. Small pine stump is what the old deed said. And for some reason, like I had said, the next deed from about 1930 describes it as a set stone, but the deed from about 1910 says small pine stump. So when we were up here before, we were looking for the wrong thing. And so right down here, we finally found what is the old pine stump. So this project was just a perfect example of trying to explain what a retracement survey is. And the reason is because of the age of the deeds that we're dealing with. And so the age makes it kind of more like almost like a treasure hunt, where you're trying to, as close as you can, retrace where that original surveyor from 1910 walked, what they did, and what it looked like to them. And so, for example, some of the images of this video through this forest here, this forest wouldn't have looked like this. It would have been some old oak trees probably, but most of the small stuff wasn't there. And so you could see a pretty decent distance through the woods. There was fence line that was observable and being maintained. And so you just have to imagine yourself or put yourself back into that 1910 mindset and understand what you're trying to look for from that time frame. And then remeasure it, update it on the map, and apply a good solid acreage to the entire property now, and get things updated and remeasured and marked for the client so that they understand where their deed actually falls on the land. So thanks for spending a little bit of time with us, and hopefully you've learned some aspects of what a retracement survey is on large properties in East Tennessee.